All right, guys. Yeah, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, short week got me thrown off. Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. If not done so already, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You guys get it all. I was just sitting here. I was going to wait, and NVDA earnings comes out at 4:20, and I hate how these companies report late like that. And I was just thinking about it as, I'm just going to live react to it. So plus, there's a few things I want to say about the market anyway before that. Love the comments in there, by the way, Gamma Boys. That's right. You got it. We had a little pop here off the close. So kind of a quiet day. It's kind of like bear flagged from the overnight on the hourly. And then we kind of just dipped down and some puts got closed out. It looked like I was actually recording my members video while this happened. I didn't really see it, and it looks like some 0DT puts got closed out at 49.50, and we could see we had a pretty good little pop there. Does it really matter? Not really, as long as NVIDIA is still not out. We also had an auction today that did not go well. TNX had a good day, so yields continuing on the move and peaking above that little level there. TYX also inching higher. So yields acting well. Again, it's not going to bother the market, but as long as NVIDIA is not reporting yet, but they should be out in a few minutes. We did snap this rising wedge, though, regardless of however you want to call this a green close. That's kind of damaged now. Also, Palo Alto down almost 30% today. I do like this level. I'll probably day trade that tomorrow. There is 200 MA. This support here, trend line, and then a 50% fib. That's four factors. I like that. But that did take down Cloud Software, and you're going to see IGV finally got some chart damage to it. That's right, Bidenomics. There you go. Finally got some chart damage there. Yeah, last 30 minutes. But look at this. That's an island. That's 3-4 weeks of buyers stranded up there on IGV. And I've mentioned these islands before on IGV. That's one thing I don't like about it. And it's taken a pretty good hit here today. So we're seeing damage in IGV, seeing damage in the SMH, rising wedge break, seeing damage in the Qs. I could be dead wrong, but I'm just kind of thinking that this, unless NVIDIA goes to like 900 or something, but there's a 10 to 12% move priced in. So unless NVIDIA goes to like 1200 or not 1200, 900 or something, I think we will probably look, honestly, I'm kind of looking for lower highs here in the market. I just seeing the weakness in the Qs. Again, I could be completely wrong. If this really rips up, it's always possible. Let me put on my after hours look here so we can take a look at that in a few minutes. That's just kind of how I'm, how my thoughts are right now. So did some damage there. Rising wedge, we talked about the spacing between these hits, 79 days from here to here, 14 from here to here, 13, and then only a week. So we're running out of, it looks like it's running out of gas here. If you look at the RSI, declining momentum, and that's confirming there with the fact that we keep having to revert back to this trend line over and over. So again, I think we're going to get lower highs. That's kind of my thought. Another thing to look at is I'll just use an hourly here. It's kind of like a trend line right here coming off the highs as well. If we pump up, do we get through that and make a lower high there? Something to keep an eye on. But obviously this is the Super Bowl here. We got about 2 minutes, I guess, allegedly, until they release that. I'll try to go through a few things here. IWM is a nothing burger. Let's not make anything out of that today. Same thing with the Dow. We talked about the semis already. Came in pretty good. SMCI, kind of a weak price action, day after the tail candle yesterday, but we did not take out the low, so that's your positive. IGV we talked about. That's a little concerning, especially on the weekly. By the way, look at the weekly chart of Palo Alto. Man, it is a big, big move down. Monthly. So big move there, but transports here getting a bounce. That was a strong sector on the day it needed it. You don't want to make lower lows here. Still a lot of support at 15.2, but it did take a lot of damage the last two sessions. Interest rates, which we talked about. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. But nice bull flag there on the 2-year. That's setting up. I don't think it's going to take much more. If that starts working towards 5%, I don't see how the Fed's going to cut. I just don't. Like, this is right here. This white line is where the Fed funds rate is effectively. If they cut 50 basis points from 533, it's going to be you know, it's going to be behind the curve. They're going to be behind the curve again. So we'll see. We'll see. Yields look strong though, and we had a weak 20-year auction today. XHB, nothing burger. We'll leave that alone. VNQ up 47 cents, so that's holding up. XLF was hanging in there. Okay, that can still go to 40, maybe a little bit higher. It's holding up. KRE on the softer side, as you know. KBE on the softer side. Broker dealers pulling back a little bit there. And crude here. We'll get on to crude in a second. So let me take a look here at NVDA. They're not out yet. All right, guys, you're gonna have to excuse me for 1 second. This is funny. I got to sign for a delivery. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Funny timing there. The one day I decided to go live here. All right. So let's take a look. Yeah, it's out. Look at this. My phone's going to blow up now. Turn this off. All right. So 646. So we're dumping. So we'll talk about crude in a second. Let's take a look here. Let me see if I can get the numbers. I'm sure you guys got them already. I love the headline on Schwab Network. Earnings beat. And then they got to show the live chart and it's dumping. All right, revenue 22 versus 20.6. Earnings per share 5.16, 463, and we're selling off. This was kind of the risk right now that I've kind of talked about is obviously they're going to be, I didn't think that they wouldn't do good numbers. But when you run up 50% and you're a $1.2 trillion company to go to 1.8 trillion in 6 weeks, you have to do a lot to wow investors. So you guys, so right now, this is not a surprise to me that it's dumping. It's not really even dumping that much, but it's not a surprise to me that it's selling off because you have to, there's so much is priced in right now. It's so priced in. It would have taken a lot to get it to go much higher. Now, right now, let's see, this is like 25 points. We closed at 675, we'll say. It's only a 3.7% move. So I don't think the market is going to, I think the market will be fine. I've been kind of saying that all day. Let's look at the ES. Yeah, it's a little dump in it and a little pump and a dump there. NQ, same thing. So I think the market's going to be okay. And I think this could also, it's funny though, because we closed at 497 on the spiders. We're down 60, 50 cents now. I think this could actually be bullish going into tomorrow because it's not SMCI, right? I think you saw some profit taking the last 2 days. Why? Because the market participants were saying like, oh my God, like I saw SMCI down 37%. Maybe I should start trimming my NVDA position. Maybe I should start hedging it for once. So you kind of saw that get kind of priced in. And maybe there's a little bit of a sigh of relief now for the market saying like, okay, like it didn't happen. It didn't have to do an SMCI. So everything's okay. Yeah. So what if they don't? So what if NVIDIA is not up? It doesn't need to be up. It just needs to not be down a lot. And I think the market would be okay with that. Now, here's the question though. And again, going back to what I was saying previously, before the little commercial break there, do we, I'm going to use the ES here. Oh, look, I already got it drawn in. Look at that. Do we make a lower high if we rally up? So forget all the noise, forget bond yields, forget the auction, forget the Fed, forget, by the way, the Fed minutes is a nothing burger again, big surprise. Forget the Fed, forget NVDA earnings. I don't care if Jensen, what he says on the earnings call. I don't care if he, takes a crap on the earnings call. Do you make a lower high or not? It's that simple. So that's what we're going to look at moving forward here. Do we take this out? Again, I talked about this early this morning. If you take out 49.20, you've got lower lows now confirmed on the SPX. So could be confirming corrective mode. We're not obviously there yet. But it's really just holding up. So again, if we look at this futures here, now it's popping back up. But we're probably just going to settle. Unless they say something on the earnings call that really pushes it up. It looks pretty mild here. And again, the fact that, and I've said this previously too, this thing that happened last year, that was an outlier. The market's prepared. The market makers got blown out on that. They're not letting that happen again. So they were well hedged for the last several earnings reports. It looks like they're pretty well hedged here. And by the way, there's a lot of people gambling on this, expecting a big move. They're not going to, I didn't think they were going to let a big move happen. I wouldn't have been surprised because it's NVIDIA, but they weren't going to get burned again. So look at that. It's basically flat. It's just flat to positive from the close was. So again, bottom line here, SPX, do we make lower highs? And the Qs already have that, and the Qs have lower lows as well. And that's through that rising wedge. So my bias now is I'm scouting that lower high. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's look at crude here because I skipped through a lot of stuff. Then we'll come back. But oil, it really held up well today. It had that reversal yesterday and it came off the lows, kind of V-shaped. This looks like bullish price action to me. We have a pivot here. And we're just basing underneath that. That's ready to go. I don't think it's going to take much longer to get through that. So I would give it the upside bias to like 81.50. And then, that would potentially trigger an inverse head and shoulders. Which, forgive my sloppy line there, but, that would take you back to nearly 52-week highs. I don't know if the Biden administration is going to let that happen, but that's just what that pattern suggests. You could always get shocks, right? If there's geopolitical stuff, you could get shocks. So the numbers were, what did they beat? Revenue by $2 billion. And I think earnings per share were up 5.16 versus 4.64. Revenue 22.1 versus 20.55. And they're calling it a huge beat, but it's not that. It's not like they blew it out. Like I've seen way bigger beats than that. Oh, NVIDIA says generative AI has hit the tipping point. That's why it's probably not reacting so well. So what that says to me is that, like what I was saying yesterday, there's going to be a lot of competition. These chips are going to be everywhere in a few years. They're going to be everywhere in a few years. It's not just going to be NVIDIA. So we'll see what Jensen says on the call. Maybe he can acquire another dummy company and make them buy his products or something and then call it revenue. Interesting stuff here. So crude acting well. XLE also had a really good day. Sold off towards the end, but then participated in that big pop, closed right at the highs. XOP acting well. Still a lot of resistance up here with these little pivots there. Same thing with XLE at 87, 87.50, a lot of resistance there. OIH, look at the data. They closed it right on my little trend line there. Maybe a fraction above it, but that looks good here. There's some resistance up at 311, but that would be on breakout if it gets up there. Uranium market, CCJ, a little dip and flip. So gap down and then close green. Again, I want to see it above 41.95 by Friday close. Otherwise, it could be in breakdown territory. URNM, though, not bad. So again, same kind of price action. We held the 100 MA, and you can see right here, at this little area, that's where we broke out of, and we're getting a bounce there. You still have that weekly green bar and the weekly 20 MA too. Nat gas. I stopped recording the video yesterday, probably at like 4:15, and then we got that news from Chesapeake. So that's what happened. Chesapeake reported, and there's a ton of shorts in this, guys, like a ton of shorts, because they basically just said like, oh, we expect rig counts to kind of like decline, or continue to decline, rather, and that's not news at all. And it rallied. It's up like 15-20% off the lows here already. That tells me there's a lot of shorts, because that should be a nothing burger. So I think this can get to 2 to 220, and we'll see from there. I don't know if it's going to happen right away. It might come down and spike the low. It might flag up, but it's definitely a much needed and overdue bounce. But yeah, very, very odd price action there. Dollar index flat to actually, yeah, finished negative. I don't want to see this lose 103.50. That would be a little bearish there. Gold and inside day, nothing going on. Held up well despite yields pulling, despite yields popping. Silver down, backing off of 23.51. Platinum lower, palladium lower, but nothing terrible there. Then copper looks like it's going to get up to our, at least got close. We'll see. We might have to adjust this in a few days to see if that trend line goes to there, but it is pulling back a little bit, kind of a nothing burger. I see you guys are saying NVIDIA is popping now, so we'll get to Bitcoin quickly, and then we'll jump back into that. Again, Bitcoin, no update here. So bull flag on the daily inside bar. If the moving average catches up to 20, then it can go higher. I still think it probably needs to do a couple more weeks of consolidation, though, because if we look at the weekly and we don't screw up our charts, you can see it took us about 4 or 5 weeks to break down from this area, and those pivots in there should be about the same. I still do like some of these alts, though. Solana looks fine. Bullish inside bar, moving averages separating. By the way, look at the separation on that weekly, those weekly moving averages. That's beautiful. Cardano, bullish inside bar, moving averages starting to separate. Matic, big bullish base here. So some of the alts starting to look better. ETH obviously benefiting from the ETF hype. 3,200 area is probably going to be some resistance there. All right, let's take a look at, there we go, 717. Okay. Talk to me when it's at 800. Talk to me when we take out the highs. Watch, now it'll do that. I had to say something. Let's just see where there's a, see if there's a fib somewhere here from the high. Well, this is the after hours low. So it's like a 75% retrace. I don't really count after hours moves though. So we'll have to see where this opens. This could sell, you know, this could back off too after the conference call. But it is popping now. So interesting price action. Did they say anything that would, yeah, exactly right. Less than 10% move after hours is inconsequential considering it's the biggest hype stock. That's 100%. Yeah. As long as it stays within that 12% expected move, it's kind of a nothing burger. Let's see, SMCI. Yeah, SMCI this should retrace though. This should get a retrace. I wasn't sure if it was going to pierce the 20 MA and then pop up, but it's at 800 now. This should go, I've got levels already done for this. You go to 885 and then 930. I think this is a major top, by the way. But it should, usually the first hit of the 20 MA after a big extended move is going to get defended. All right, 720 here. And we'll see tomorrow too. I mean, what if this opens at 760 and then it's a gap and crap, you know? Look at the NQ. Let's look at that. There's still plenty of room here for lower highs on the NQ and on the ES. Watch that trend line there. We'll see where this all opens tomorrow. Let me scroll through some of these here. So go back to some of the comments now that we've got a minute here. Yeah, True Gaming saying Natcast looks like I want to put a big multi-year bottom. I mean, like I've been saying, it's at the literally like the COVID lows, which is like mind-boggling. And like I've been saying, it doesn't spend a lot of time down here when it gets here, and it rallies pretty sharply when it gets to these levels. I think it's ridiculously attractive. I was looking to pick up. We have a little bit in the trading room, like a half position that's now flat. But I was looking to pick up more, and I just didn't think we were gonna. Like I literally said in the video yesterday, it needs to show me something, and then as soon as I was done recording it, it literally popped 5%. But I can't chase it here. I have to let it, consolidate or something like that. But yeah, it's really attractive here. Especially if what happens with commodities that I think is going to happen with commodities in the next couple of years. We'll see how that works out. Lurk's explaining. Can you explain gamma real quick? Yeah, I can do it really quickly, obviously, but basically. So if I say like 49.50, there's gamma at 49.50. What I mean is that like that level is going to be a magnet for price. Gamma refers to gamma exposure, and it's kind of like where the market makers are most exposed, and where generally like where they can burn out the most premium in options. So. And we went right to 49.50 today, and then it looked like somebody closed out a bunch of puts. I just didn't see this in real time, but basically just think of those levels as magnets, and they also act as support and resistance too. And they're really like, they basically drive the market now as far as how zero DTs work. Yeah, you can just True Gaming say, how do you trade lower highs, lower lows when you don't know where it'll stop? Just put the stop with the high low. If you wanted to like take a stab at this right now, if you just were comfortable with the risk, you can just short now, put a stop above the high, and you could use a daily or a weekly closeout. For this, I'd probably use daily just because it's I would use daily. And you're risking what, like 2-3%. But if we have a correction, 10% correction, that's a 5-to-1 risk reward, right? So it's not terrible. Or what you can do is usually the first leg of good rule of thumb is first leg of the bear is always the weakest. So if you missed that first move, it's not the end of the world. In fact, if we go back to last year, you can see even if you missed this whole first leg, if you're just patient, you got a 75% retrace right here. And then you could have caught that whole leg there. So they're always going to retrace. They're always going to bounce them up. It's never going to go down in a straight line. It's very rare to see a crash off the highs. So, but that's how you can play it. And I mean, like, you're not risking a lot. Like what I did, I got stopped out a few weeks ago. I took a short here, right? So I had reason. I had kind of a cycle that was coming into play. So I was expecting a top around that time or a turn. And there was volume. So I said, well, we'll short. I think we shorted right down here. We got stopped out 2 days later. I will take that trade 1,000 out of 1,000 times. Why? Because I'm risking 2%, 4% on a leveraged, vehicle, 4%. If we go down to fill this gap, that's going to be a 20% gain. Yeah, those are the trades you want to take, So that's how that's how you could do it there. Oh, I'm saying SMCI more up and after. Yeah, SMCI is a smaller market cap, so it should be. Plus, it was also down 37% in like 8 hours, if you include Friday into Monday morning. It's backing off the highs a little bit here. NVIDIA is settling at 717. That's not bad. Now, so it's up a ton, right? Or it's up, what is it, 716, 674. It's up 6% after hours. Oh, so their earnings were so good, right? Oh, they're crush it, squeezes on, right? Why can't it make a new high? Where's the new high? If it's so bullish, take out the highs. If you have an impulsive move up, they should be able to take the highs out, no problem. I'm not saying it can't tomorrow, but where's the bulls? I agree with that, Gemma. Gemma's saying swap your CCJ for URNJ. I even like I still like URNM. But yeah, URNJ. I think CCJ just looks top heavy to me. I don't like how on the weekly we're not, but we haven't closed below this yet, but we're below the 20 week and moving average, and we're testing that green bar low. Whereas URNM, look at the technical positioning. So it seems the rally's broadening out into possibly even the juniors, like you're saying, but just kind of the other names in the sector, which is bullish, right? You want to see that. You don't want to see CCJ continue to lead over and over because that just means that it's a hype trade. But if you see that rally broaden out, that's really a good sign. Let me just look at UR and J. Yeah, see that? Yeah. And this is a much better, like, look at this, right? So it's only up from 14, went from 14 to 30. So basically 100%, but it's also a junior. But looking at like the monthly of CCJ, this is parabolic, right? It needs to, by the way, look at that monthly candle. Could be an engulfing here. So I agree with that. I do think that it's healthy to see that rotation too. Well, I think there's a good chance that there's a high in right now. Like what I saw today. Well, yesterday with that rising wedge break, SMH rising wedge break. By the way, SMH is at 201, so it's still below that wedge. We could backtest it and fail tomorrow, but also what I'm seeing from IGV, that is a huge. There's anybody who bought up here is trapped. So anybody who's been buying for the last 3 weeks, thinking that we were going to go break the all-time high, they're trapped. Again, weekly, there's still plenty of room for higher lows. It's fair, but it feels like we're about to we're close to some type of correction here. And if NVIDIA doesn't make a new high, is it really that bullish? If it's such an impulsive move, if it's so bullish, shouldn't it just AI, right? AI, where's the new highs? If AI is so great, why can't it pump NVIDIA up? This is the AI stock. I want to see what Palantir is doing. We day traded this earlier. Dang it. Yeah, there it goes. Well, it looks like it got... Okay, no, so it was sideways into the close. So you guys are... We bought this morning, made a quick buck on it. We had like a runner position. I sold it into the close because it's a sympathy play with NVIDIA, and I didn't want to get... I didn't want to give back any profits, but it looks like it's getting a good pop. That should get it, if you were undisciplined and you didn't move out of it, that should get you to, just do this again. Yeah, that should get you to 24 or so. See how these other AI plays are doing. AI, we looked at SMCI, his ARM. ARM up 6 points. Let's see, Broadcom up a little bit. AMD up 4 points. And speaking of switching, if anything, I think I would switch NVIDIA for Intel or AMD. Um, so nat gas is going to work a little differently because it's the futures. There's not market makers aren't as big a like nat gas isn't dominated by the options market the way that stocks are. So it's not likely to do that. It's not as likely to do that. It could bottom on a contract rollover, but that doesn't really count because that's not the same. Technically, it's not the same instrument. Technically, so it's less so to do with. So nat gas is more. Its futures are different. It's way less dominated by options than stocks are. I think they are taking profits on QQQ. I think that's what this is. I think that's why we have lower highs now and lower lows, because there's more sellers than buyers causing that. They didn't defend this pivot, so there is selling pressure creeping into the market. It's up to you. I like the futures. I just like now, I mean, obviously there's leverage involved, but there's oil too. But those ETFs are really crappy. They look at like future contracts, and they don't always move the same. So I like to just, if I can, I trade from the horse's mouth if I can. Let's look at Rivian. Did they report today too? Oh yeah, down to 13. Oh, that's not a good chart either. That's been bear flagging for the last couple of weeks. So Rivian getting hit here. Yeah, I'm still in wheat, actually. So it needed to. I thought this might be a liquidity grab, this little dump here into the weekend, and pretty good outside candle yesterday. This thing's just been basing forever, and I'd like to see us back above 6 on a weekly close. I think that could maybe be the fuel. Still like it here. It has not stopped me out. Sometimes it just takes a while, especially when you're using like bigger time frame. I'm using like weekly and monthly to look at this, so it can take some time. But yeah, I still like it. It needed to do that yesterday, and it did. So yeah, I still like wheat down here. Yeah, I think so, Max. Thank you, Sebastian. Yeah, hit the like button, Gamma boys. Otherwise, you're not a real Gamma boy or Gamma girl. Tomas saying, do you think the Fed will end BTFP in March? Um, to quote Autumn, who's in this chat, yeah, they'll end it and then they'll replace it with the next not QE program. I don't know how they're going to end it and get away with it, unless they just want to give JP Morgan all the banks. By the way, reverse repo runs out next month too. That's going to be fun. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, I need a bond. I need a full bond report by the end of the day. So clear your schedule. Yeah, I have someone else in my room that had Palo short. They crushed it. So I like it a lot here though for a bounce. I don't think I would swing trade it yet because it's like 3 to 5 day rule, for earnings. But I like this for a bounce tomorrow though. If that gaps down or pierces like 260, 255, I'd be really tempted. But yeah, that got, I mean, that was, yeah. I saw it was down after hours. It was down to like 3:30. Then it was like 3, and then it kept going. I was like, what? And then it woke. I woke up this morning and it was like 260. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, it might be on Intel, but I mean, I'm just saying in general, like a longer term. Let's see. 2-hour BB on NQ, probably. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. It will be. So that's going to have to back off in the overnight then. So 17.7, it's probably going to stall out there. 17.25. Yeah, if it gets up there on the next candle, which it's almost 5 o'clock now, so at 6 o'clock, this will roll over. Yeah, that probably will need to stall out there in the overnight. But I mean, it's got all night to work that condition off. But yeah, if we were like in market hours right now, I would be looking at that. If this was like 9 in the morning, I would definitely be watching that for a play. Let's see NVIDIA here. It's running up more. It's getting up there. Let me get rid of this. Bro, I seriously appreciate that. That is awesome, man. Thank you very much for that. Seriously, I'm absolutely flattered. Appreciate you very much. I'm glad I can be a help to everybody, too. Um, so yeah, it's continuing higher here. We'll see. Again, like I was saying earlier, if it takes out the highs, well, then you can say, well, okay, maybe it is a bullish move. But I'm if it doesn't, it's kind of a little bit of a red flag there. But it's chugging up. I don't know when their conference call is, or if they're out, or if this is just algos kind of continuing to push it up. But we'll keep an eye on it. Tozy asked about Tesla. I don't dislike Tesla. I was talking about this in the trading room earlier too. If this just stays like, you got a little mini inverse head and shoulder. I like how yesterday it like tested that trend line and then it popped back up. I would say as long as you stay, you don't have to even have this pattern, but as long as you stay inside of this green and you can build a base, I think you can go to 210, 215, maybe 220. So I still think Tesla is interesting. I still think Tesla's okay. Where I'd get concerned is if we broke 188, 190, then it would be kind of problematic. You could make a case too. I know I'm going to put a lot of lines on here. I just want to look at the other side of it. Just don't want that to become a rising wedge, because that could be a bear wedge for a continuation. So that'd be the other side of it. So watch. So I would say 190, if it breaks below there, especially on a close, be careful with it. But as long as it just holds up here, I think it can firm up to 210, 215. Yeah, GDX still at the lows though. I'm really impressed with gold. I thought gold would be backing off as more than it is now, because of yields right now are continuing to inch up. I'm wondering if there's a threshold here. There's got to be at some point. Like if yields start breaking above 4.4 or 4.5 on the 10-year, like something's got to give, right? But gold's held up well. I just don't know about GDX. I want to see this leading, not gold, and I'm not seeing that right now. It is attractive down here. I mean, it's at 52-week lows. It is attractive. I'm not seeing it from the miners, and same thing with the silver miners too. They're attractive. I just don't like for the metals themselves to break out. I'm just not seeing that from the miners yet. But they are attractive. You know, if you want to like nibble at them for longer term positions, I'm not really opposed to it. Given the fact that these companies are minting money at $2,000 an ounce gold, most of them. So, how's VRT doing? Yeah, getting a little pop there. Yeah, it looks just like NVIDIA, doesn't it? It even sold off the last couple of days, just like NVIDIA did. Anthony asking, what are the odds Natty can poke the low before we take off? They're decent. They're definitely decent. It's doing I'll say this right now, it's doing everything that I would want something to do. Like if you look at an hourly, it's just grinding up, consolidating. We up move, we consolidated, we popped, we consolidated. This intraday stuff, like this 4 hour, like this pivot, this ain't shit. Like, I mean, like this is short term at resistance, but when you look at it daily, you didn't build any resistance on the way down. So, you know, it could just base here for a few hours and blow through that, go straight to 210. I'd say there's a decent chance of it spiking the low, but it's probably not going to happen like right away. It would probably look like something like this, and then it would do that. If that happens, I'll probably buy with both hands. But it also could, I was talking about this earlier, is it could do, sorry, I'm just using a 4 hour here, but this is when it bottomed last year, which was exactly a year ago, almost to the day, by the way. You had this little pop, and then it went to a 618, like it was going to roll over, and then it put in a tail candle, stayed inside bar, and then we took off to 3. So there's a possibility. There's a couple of ways it could play out here, but I do think if this isn't a long-term low, I mean, like, how much lower can it go? It's not Rivian, right? It's nat gas, so. But I'd say there's a decent chance. Yeah, Rich, I don't think it's going to either. If it was going to do it, it probably would have done it already. I could be wrong, but I don't think, if it was going to do it, wouldn't you think it would have done it like very quickly? Maybe it will. It's not that far away. But it's taken it a long time, right? Yeah, I'm going to be getting into these soon. MSOS is fine here. This just needs to do weekly consolidation. So it's going up into this. Look at this. This is a big, like, fat resistance level here. There's a lot of volume in that sell-off. So it's going to need a base. But I am interested in this very much so. Appreciate it. Thank you. March 11th is deadline for discount window. Yeah, and I think reverse repo is scheduled to run out around that time too. No, the bond auction didn't really, well, the bond auction did have an effect on yields themselves. You can see that the ZB here, the 30-year note or bond sold off. If we look at the yield here, you can see the big pump there. So the bond market responded, but the stock, I mean, this was like, I don't think I've ever seen this, where the market was literally didn't care about the bond auction. I'd expected them to not care about the Fed minutes, but it's like NVIDIA is that important. I mean, I don't even think I've seen the market that quiet before Apple before. Yeah, we'll see if TLT's, I mean, you know, yields are holding up, so Actually, the 2-year even coming back in now too. All right, Bravo. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Jeremy sent SMCI. Yeah, 817. That's after hours. We're watching this at about 885 or so. It should get up there. Yeah, now it's holding out. It's doing everything it's supposed to right now. Conference call in 8 minutes. So Big Jenny's on. That's what I call him. Big Jenny, not Jensen. Let's see, did we make a new high? Oh, we did. There we go. Or did we? 746.11. All right, we're gonna make a new high. We missed the high by like 11 cents, but we'll make a new high. But it is still not. It's definitely not an impulsive move though. Look at how long it's taken to get up there. But we'll see. Maybe it opens at 850 or whatever tomorrow. It could be dead wrong, but it usually when you have like one of those impulsive moves on earnings, like Palo Alto yesterday, it crash, right? Like 370 to 310 in seconds. And then an hour later, we're at 290. You know, this was like we dumped down, then we rallied back up. But this is still only what, like a 7-8% move. It's not really that impulsive. So we'll see where it opens up. SPY reclaiming the trend line after. Yeah, we'll see. Let's use the ES. Yeah, it's getting up there. We'll see how it plays out. It could just back test it and roll over. But it shouldn't have gotten damaged in the first place, which is what my concern is. And watch that top side tomorrow. Thank you, Towsy. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of the juniors are really cheap right now. Oh, yeah, I'm in Florida. Yep. Yeah, I got to stay on Manhattan time for the markets. Ah, yeah. Let's see, Tellurian. I know one of my members was trading this the other day. It made a good score on it. It might be. I noticed the producers are acting much better ever since AR's earnings, which was not today, but it was last week. But look at like Chesapeake, and when I'm drawing a blank, EQT, which stupid management, EOG, LNG. What's Katera? I think Katera reports this week too, maybe tomorrow. But that's a good sign for NatGas. To see the producers up like that, it's a good sign. But I do think EOG is interesting with that wedge there. But yeah, big move on AR. We traded this a bunch of times last year. Look at that move. So Tellurian, yeah, it could be something more. It's got resistance here at $1 though. Yeah, definitely a lot of resistance at $1. I'll put that right in. So it's probably going to need to base here before I can get through that. But it's definitely firmed up. Yeah, we have an emoji for her in the chat in our Discord. She's we have Yellen, we've got Jay Powell, who's not even going to be the Fed chair after this term, but we have Yellen. We've got Bidenomics too. Yeah, it could be a B. Well, let's just see where it opens tomorrow. We'll see how it opens tomorrow. It is backing off of the all-time high now by a little bit. It probably makes a new all-time high though. I got so close. Looks like it. Oh, looks like it might have. No, it didn't quite get there still. But still, like, I mean, it's like at an all-time high. It's funny calling it lackluster, but it's like not as impulsive as, like, nobody's panicking to cover right now. You're not seeing market makers get blown out. Cash S&P 504. Yeah, it's, let me see my SPX USD. Yep, 5,005, 5,006. That's been the point of control. So right there, that's where we're at. Oh, just above it. So tomorrow should be interesting. To say the least. All right, guys, cool. I'm gonna wrap up here. Thank you guys for coming out. Yeah, maybe I'll do a few more of these, like, try maybe like work one in here and there. I just kind of get into a habit and do my thing. But if everybody's going to come out for them, like you guys have, I'll try to do them more often. Yeah, I just kind of did this on a whim because NVDA reports at 420, and I was like, I'm gonna have to get my market report in and then kind of switch to cover NVIDIA as it's coming out. I was like, I'm just gonna do it live. So yeah, it was good. I had fun. Awesome. Good. So anyway, again, we'll see NVIDIA here. I'll probably make a new all-time high. Looks like it's backing off just a little bit more. Just to wrap up, watch tomorrow. I'll use the ES here. Watch that trend line. That gets rejected and we come back down. It could be a problem. Big level, though, is for the SPX. We take out 49.20. Even just a pierce of it, it's technically a lower high and lower low. So I would keep that just on watch. We do have the lower highs on the Qs. Qs at 4:30 after hours, so still kind of just below this rising wedge here, still right around that 20 DMA. We'll see what NVIDIA does tomorrow. If there's anything that can save the market, that's it for sure. But it's prove it mode. So if they take out the highs, if we have a higher high, something of that nature, okay, bulls it, back in control. But last couple of days there has been a shift. This is damage. IGV, that's damage. SMH, that's damage. Even if it recovers, it's still happened. So again, we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if yields ever matter again. They are continuing to inch up, but yeah, as always, I'll keep you guys informed. So, all right, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap up here. You guys take care. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. You're welcome, Marie. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Max. All right, awesome. All right, guys, cool. I'm gonna wrap up here. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Take care. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow.